Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stars and Stripes Cup Series. Here tonight, it's playoff racing action as we have our final 12 drivers that are going to be racing for the playoffs. But this is when things just ramp up even more. This is Season 4. Who's going to get the championship done? Find out who's going to have the best start coming up here tonight, as it is going to be seeing these drivers and teams working with one another. As you see here, our playoff standings, the 12 drivers are going to be racing here tonight. You got Ken Campbell, Scott Rickard, as well as seeing that of Cameron Sarton, Christopher Wade, Kyle McCoy, Chris Essery, Aaron Hale, Andrew Medlin, Kyle Boyne, Timmy McNally, Derek Offerman, and that of Trey Jackson. And it all came down just that of 2 weeks ago at a dazzling Talladega race where poor Dylan Grimm got knocked out of the playoffs, giving a massive push to that of Derek Offerman, who snuck his way in with a win. Practically was in a must-win scenario, got it done, but this is when things ramp up even more. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. We're running productions, and Zach, it's playoff racing action. It's a 5-race window that these drivers are going to be having for this playoffs. 2 races for the round of 12, 2 races for the round of 8, and then 1 championship race to seal it all here this season. Man, it all starts here at the last great Coliseum at Bristol. What are you expecting here tonight?
Well, Sam, we've seen last season, and it's just this playoffs is a pressure cooker, man. It's literally 5 races where you have to perform each and every race if you want to be able to move on and be able to win that championship race in that final 5th race. So it starts here tonight at Bristol. We've seen last season, driver of Kyle McCoy there, in the Xfinity Series really pick up that clutch factor that I kind of talked about all throughout the playoffs. Can someone do that here? Is he the driver to do that? He's been able to get 2 wins on the season and look better as the seasons went on. But I tell you what, there's a hungry group of 12 drivers here looking to move on. And, Derek Hoffman, like you said, he squeezed in last week, getting that victory and getting the push from Dylan Grimm, who knocked himself out. He was a Final 4 contender last season, so we had a big shakeup from the Xfinity Series to this Cup Series. These playoffs here tonight, starting at Bristol, not a better way to start it, I think. This is perfect way, and it's going to be a lot of action out here for 200 laps.
Stars and Stripes, such an interesting league. The fact that each season they've changed what car they were running. Season 1, they were in the ARCA car. Season 2, they were in trucks. Season 3, that we started covering here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, they were in the Xfinity car. And now in the Gen 6 Cup car, these drivers are going to be putting on a show. But from these last 3 seasons that they've ran here at Bristol, drivers to watch out for: Kyle McCoy, the favorite coming in. He won Season 1 in the ARCA car and as well Season 3 in the Xfinity. And Dylan Glass, who missed out on being a playoff contender. He won our Season 2 race here at Bristol, but that was in the trucks, which, Zach, that's been a thing that we've been talking about all season long. Of all the seasons are so different, it's kind of hard to take all the knowledge from past seasons, but there are some vehicles that we can take notes from and put it out here and say, hey, they were fast in this car, they could translate that to the Cup car.
Yeah, and I think, you alluded to that truck series. Dylan Glass, the winner of that Season 2 race. He's not in the playoffs here tonight, like you said, but I think that truck compares the most similar to this Cup car of any car else on the stock car iRacing service right now. The 2 cars very, very similar when it comes to downforce levels and grip levels. The speed of the Cup car a little bit higher, but that truck's still very similar. But tonight, with the 750 horsepower package, it will be a little bit more of a beast than the Cup car, so it will be tough to tame. But Dylan Glass is right there in 3rd. I what I've seen so far this season, a lot has compared to Season 2 in that truck. So we'll see if we can see a little bit more of a continuation of that into the playoffs, or do we see some new names here late into the season breakout?
We'll talk about new names. That of Ken Campbell certainly is one of the drivers that's been top of the board in the beginning portions of this season, but throughout the season, continuing with consistency. You talk about Scott Rickard, who did not win here previously in any other vehicles, but the 05 always going to be a threat to watch out for each and every week. And certainly, once again, for this playoffs, going to be a driver to watch out for. But you look at the list of where drivers are at right now, and the 05, he's not high on the board, back in 16th position currently here for practice.
Yeah, very interesting. I was actually looking at the same thing there. 16th for him and 15th for Ken Campbell right above him. So those two have been kind of the talk of the town, I'd say, for majority of the season, it started in Ken Campbell's hands. He was kind of carrying the baton, and then it kind of shifted over to Scott Rickard. And right now, two struggling here in this first practice session, but I will tell you this much: the lap times are very, very close. This track changes a lot, so times like Dylan Grimm there, who just put down actually the quickest time there of anybody, and like just right now, the track could be ramping up a little bit. So we'll see as a practice session comes in. We'll head to qualifying here, where they all got the same track conditions.
Qualifying is where drivers are going to be having their best opportunity to put down some fast laps. Practice is now concluded. Qualifying coming up. All the drivers will be on track at the same time, but on their own solo runs. There's going to be no one else out there with them. 5 minutes to put down their fastest lap. They've only got 2 laps that will count. It's their first 2 laps when they get out there. As you see, the 99 is Steve Anderson going to be getting on track. But Zach, there's 12 drivers that are racing in this playoffs. We've kind of noted on some of those top dog, that of Kyle McCoy, another driver that is a multi-time winner this season and also a 2-time champion here for the Stars and Stripes League and Series. Who are some of the other drivers that you would consider maybe an underdog or an under-the-radar type of driver that has an opportunity to do well in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think there's a few of them for sure. I mean, a breakout star I think this season has been Cameron Sarton as a rookie. We talked a lot about his speed. He's got only 1 win, but I feel like could have had a few more. So, that statistic there of 1 win, I don't think fully represents what he's had this full season. Even his teammate there and Chris Escheries looks great. Chris Wade's been in the, right in the, I'd say the shadows of his teammate Ken Campbell, but he could break out at any point here and get above him. But, I got to look all the way back under the cut line there for heading out of this round of 12 there. What he would be 9th right now in the playoff stands, Kyle Bowling. He was a sneaky, he's a sneaky driver that can get into some good top 5s and string some good momentum together. He could be one to watch out for to get into that Final Four and, never know, have a shot for a championship.
You really, truly never know. And the driver to watch out for, we noted on it, he's won here at this track before. It's Dylan Glass going to be hitting the track for that of the 42 machine, and Glass going to be seen hopefully this lap, that first lap, invalidated. The second lap, try not to hit the wall at all. That is the goal, as the 42 runs high through 3 and 4 and out of the corner. Going to come across the line, and Glass, that 1 lap that counted, we'll see as he bumps up, going to be all the way up to 4th place. So a lot of work to do for the 42, as there are some hungry drivers up top. But surprising to see Patrick Hasty in the 9 is the driver on top of the board currently.
Yeah, I mean, what a lap for him, a 14.78 there, much quicker than what he ran in practice. We'll see if anybody else is able to find any time. And, I can confirm from Dylan Glass's practice time, he hit the wall multiple times during that lap. So his lap, you probably won't see anybody as quick as that because he had to use the wall to get that fast. So Hasty right now holding on to that top spot in the 9. If he was to take home the top spot here, that would be a story for the season.
Patrick Hasty's best qualifying run this season was back at Atlanta with a 9th place start. This could be his first time ever being in the top 5 with qualifying and his first pole of the season. There's a lot of other drivers still out there trying to put down some fast times. Andrew Medlin going to be up to 4th after that first time that we're riding on board with in the 12. Medlin is a driver that finally crept into that of a win this season after going winless last season across the line. Last attempt across. Will it be best for pole? Will not. And it's going to be Cole Sacchetti taking the pole position here late.
Yeah, he held on to a lot for a long time in that practice, held on to the top time there. And he was able to put himself now back up top and qualifying here. Cole Sacchetti. We've talked about him all season about, man, he's had look like he's had some great runs. And it's just never played out. It's just always been something bad luck, a mistake from him that has took him out of the contention of running. It could be his chance tonight, but look at that, Kyle McCoy, the winner multiple times here. He jumps up to 3rd on the board too there. So, man, we got a great group of drivers up here, but a few guys still got to take time. Cameron Sarton here in the 13 trying to put down his time.
Cameron Sarton, first lap, going to come across the line for the 13, and obviously has been one of the favorites to watch out for. 12th after that first lap. Onto the backstretch here, entering turn 3. Going to be just a groove higher, about a half a groove higher than going down to the apron. Across the line, out of Cameron Sarton, trying to find that extra pace, and it looks like will not be able to find it. Still going to be 12th fastest, so a lot of work for the Rookie of the Year contender as we look at the 11 of Brian Chu. Brian Chu, going to be first time coming across the line here. and setting up for a second, which that second lap seems to be a lot faster for most, but that's if you hit your marks, as the 11 going to be 23rd on the board.
It looks like from what we've seen there, even with the 13 starting, he made the mistake on that second lap and didn't get what he needed. He's at that 12th spot, and right here we'll see what Chu jumps up to. Brian Chu going to jump up all the way to the 19th position on the board, and right now one of our playoff contenders, Aaron Hale, was inside the top 8 in points coming in here tonight. He's sitting 28th, looking like he may be on the final row of this field.
Not where you want to be for the start of this, really the start of the playoffs. You don't want a bad start. Again, this round, only 2 races, so the drivers got to make sure they're hitting their marks, because you've got Bristol this week, and then you go to the complete opposite of that of Auto Club next week to finish out the round of 12, where we cut it down to our Elite 8 that will be moving on and racing for their still chances for a championship. But before we can get talking about the Elite 8, we got to start out here tonight, as it is going to be seeing these drivers getting prepared for that of the Big Brown Truck night race here at Bristol. With his first pole position of the season, it's going to be the 29 of Cole Sacchetti topping the board, with Patrick Hastings in the 9 getting second. Our last season champion trying to go back-to-back for his 3rd championship in this league. Going to be that of Kyle McCoy in 3rd, Andrew Medlin in 4th, Derek Offerman sneaking his way into the playoffs. Going to have a great start in 5th, with Dylan Glass, as well as seeing that of Nate Lynch, Timmy McNally, Kyle Bowling, and Scott Rickard finishing out your top 10.
In the 11th position, it's going to be the 53 of Christopher Wade. 12th going to the 13 of Cameron Sarton. 13th is going to be our points leader, King Kim, on the 15 machine. 14th going to be Brian Burchett. On the next row, it's going to be Jason Gratton and Brian Lynch in the 15th and 16th position. 17th is going to be Trey Jackson in the 31 machine. 18th is going to be the 10 of Chris Essery. In the 11 machine, Brian Chusco starting 19th. And rounding out that top 20 is the 18 of Paul House.
Then it's going to be George Kovasic in 65 and 21st position, with Travis Dart in the 209 and 22nd. Dylan Grimm in the number 23, starting 23rd is going to be that machine, with Steve Anderson, Mike Lynch, Doug Pierce, Martin Perry, and then all the way back in 28th position, second to last spot, Aaron Hale. Got a lot of work to do to make sure that he's got a great start to this first round, but it's going to be a tough one for the 4, with Max Ward finishing out our 29 drivers going to be racing here tonight, as Cole Sacchetti up front. And Zach, this has got to be feeling good for the 29, but he's got a lot of work to make sure that he does not fumble this one. 200 laps for these drivers, no fast repair, and only 3 extra sets of tires in pit road. You're on a thin ice really here tonight, and drivers got to make sure they are not throwing this race away.
Yeah, any moment it all could be tossed right into the garbage bin here at Bristol, man. It's a tough place to get around, first of all, by yourself. But when you add 29 Cup Series cars out here, I mean, it gets very, very close, and that's when the action starts to pick up. And tonight, the one thing that you alluded to there, 0 fast repairs. One mistake here could be out of this very quickly. And like I always like to say here at Bristol, there is no place that is safe on this racetrack. It could happen right here. Leading the up front, Cole Sacchetti could catch a lap car, and they're going to catch lap traffic pretty quickly with how many cars we have out here. It's going to be wild here, Sam. I cannot wait to get this green flag underway and see who's going to have the pace here under the race pace of this race, and which line's going to dominate. This track here looks like the high line's been very good, but could that bottom lane come in at some point?
Another factor we got to touch on is also pit stops and where your pit box is. With Bristol being as large as it is, there are going to be 2 sides to our pit boxes for these drivers. So you better hope that you had gotten a good qualifying run for yourself, because at this point, you're already set. We're ready to go. Pace car pulls off, and Cole Sacchetti, Patrick Hastings, they're ready to go green. Green flag in the air for the Big Brown Truck night race here at Bristol. Playoff racing action is underway for the Stars and Stripes Cup Series.
Great start from Sacchetti there through 1 and 2. He's able to really build a gap down the back straightaway. There is now Kyle McCoy looking to pounce to that second place position. He will take it there as they head for the first lap.
He's going to be Patrick Hastings in 3rd place. That is going to be an interesting spot for the 9. We have not seen him really linger up front unless it was a tire strategy call. We'll see if the 9 can keep up that pace that he had from qualifying. But up front, it's Kyle McCoy getting right on the back bumper of the 29 of that of Cole Sacchetti. And Sacchetti, yes, he got a good launch, but the key factor here at Bristol is that consistency. Get into a rhythm soon. Wondering how well we're going to be seeing those drivers doing that as well. Also, other drivers to watch out for. Nate Lynch up front, been having a fabulous season for the 25, missed out on the playoffs, but still been showing a lot of pace all throughout this season.
I'd say what battle's going on is up front. Is Kyle McCoy now up to the lead here off of turn number 4, and there you can see it. Sacchetti had the lead there up high. McCoy goes down low, takes advantage of it, and he is now up to the lead using those tires here. We'll see. Is this a strategy? Is Sacchetti just running that line, just saying, you know, I'm saving my tires here, trying not to make too much pace, as Medlin's made his way up to third, Glass up to fourth, and Offerman also up to the top 5.
Starting to see drivers finally start to single out up front at least and feel a little bit more comfortable in where they're running. And throughout most of the field, they're staying at single file. Any type of side-by-side racing that's going on is all the way back in that of the 24th position where we find Aaron Hale doing all of that work. But it's interesting to see Dylan Glass still running in that higher groove. And Zach, that's something that's been interesting these last couple of months at Bristol with all the updates that have been going on with the current different models of cup cars, the next gen. All the drivers have been finding different ways to attack Bristol. It used to be dominant on the outside, but it seems like the inside lane has been finding a little bit more pace recently.
It really has, and you can see that here to start off this race. A lot of guys electing to run, about a lane off the bottom there, a little bit up off that groove, and it's a pretty easy lane to run. It gives you a lot of space. First of all, with that wall there, when you go run that top groove, it's quick, but it's also a little bit dangerous. You get up into that wall early in this race, that's a long 200 laps of right front damage. And, you would think, man, this track here, not too much worry about aero, but your minimum speed here is only about 110 mile an hour through the center of the corners. You want about as much aero as you possibly can have here at Bristol.
Don't want to get into the wall too often, too much, but up front, running well is the majority of this field as we see some other playoff drivers battling with one another. You see that of Christopher Wade, Cameron Sartin. This is the battle for 11th place of a Rookie of the Year and probably the best teammate of the year. Christopher Wade helping Ken Campbell so many times in those first 3 races to get to victory lane. Christopher Wade finally finding himself to get victory lane, but Zach, this is where the cluster is. Ken Campbell, speaking about him, he's under a lot of pressure right now from Trey Jackson.
I mean, you can see it right here, Sam. This is the group of drivers that are battling all for this positions back here. As Jackson's able to hold that outside line. Ken Campbell, they're trying to make everything work on the bottom, but just cannot get it done. You're also going to have the 10 of Chris Esther there directly behind this group. You'll see him there in that pink car trying to get his way up to in the place.
Also see the 33. That's going to be Brian Burchett, who's just lingering on the outside and making drivers go down low and finally getting a run. Is Essery able to make the move forward? And for Trey Jackson, coming in as the lowest in the points. You got to say, for this 31 machine, he's going to have the best run possible for himself. But one of our biggest movers so far tonight, Aaron Hale, he's up to 20th now for the Ford.
Yeah, Aaron Hale doing his classic drive through the field. Start out back, work his way forward, and right here, look at this, on the back bumper came up Brian Burchett. You can see Mike Lynch and the 2 get so close to that UPS machine right directly behind him. He's also got a 24 of Brian Lynch there directly to that inside. There's a huge gaggle of cars right here, and this is what Bristol does. It stacks up, and, man, this is where traffic is pretty interesting, and it can slow you down, and that leader can quickly catch up to the back of this field here at around 20.
I mean, speaking of catching up, right now, last place driver Doug Pierce has had to go into pit road after struggle. Is going to be the first car to go a lap down for the 39, but the drivers that are still on the lead lap battling is Steven Anderson and Travis Dart. Those drivers are 10.5 seconds back from our leader, meaning they're just 5 seconds away from going a lap down, which is just a straightaway. That is incredible to see. Only 29 drivers racing here tonight, but already seeing our leaders, they're going to have lap traffic here shortly in just probably about 20 to 25 laps.
And lap traffic is what makes Bristol the most interesting racetrack probably on the circuit, with including Martinsville, in my opinion. It stacks up. It's like LA traffic almost. There's nowhere to go. It's bumper to bumper. And that's where you get guys that are, really going to show their pace later in the run. You may have a leader that jumps out to the lead. McCoy only got a 2/10 of the second lead right now over Sacchetti. But you may have people jump out to a lead, but when they get to that lap traffic, can they cut through it after they burnt the tires up? That is the beauty and the art of this track. Some people lay in the weeds, wait till the traffic is caught up, and then try to make it.
Riding and watching that the 9, Patrick Hasty and Timmy McNally. This is the battle for 9th place currently as the Skittles machine going with the black scheme instead here tonight of Timmy McNally, not trying to be as colorful as we've seen him throughout this season. That 88 machine with his one win this season. Came under controversy the way that it went down, but Timmy McNally's been also another one of those drivers that's just been so consistent for himself, but comes in outside of the top 8. He needs a good run for himself as he makes the pass over that Patrick Hasty, who is just slowly faltering and moving back, but at least is still in the top 10 currently.
Yeah, big picture for Hasty here is cars clean. It's good starting position starting second, but the drop back this early right now being safe, running that top group, he should have some good tire wear with how well he's pacing himself, and we'll see here. Maybe at the end of the run, it'll start to come back to that 9 as we jump up here. We're going to see Scott Rickard, Kyle Bowling, this group here, Nate Lynch, the 20th, Derek Offerman, also Dylan Glass, all this group here from 4th all the way back to 8th.
This group right now, Dylan Glass still staying high and just keeping to that run as Derek Offerman, I mean, this is looking shades of what he was like last season. I mean, this is a completely different 20 machine than we've seen all season long here for season 4. Derek Offerman, we expected a lot of great things from the Home Depot, but there just was mistakes after mistakes and just little, mistakes all around that kind of put Derek Offerman in the 8-hole where he needed to have a spectacular run, got the win that was needed to get him into the playoffs, and now the 20, he's under a little bit of pressure now. There's Nate Lynch on the outside making the run work, but I got to say, big kudos for that of Derek Offerman. Great start here at Bristol, 29 laps in.
Yeah, a really great start indeed, and trying to make this bottom lane work. We'll see what it can do. A lot of guys starting to navigate up to the higher groove here as these tires start to wear. And the guys that can keep it down low as the run goes on are going to be the guys that can be able to make passes here. Offerman really just try to work Glass over. I think he might have a great run here, exiting out of turn 2 this time. Cannot get it fully done, but he'll be directly alongside that 42 as they'll come through 3 and 4. We'll see. He clears them off of turn 4, but does not have the drive off. And look at that, Dylan Glass just yards him down the straightaway. He had to lift there because he knew if he didn't, he was going to slide up in front of that 42 with the head of steam. That was going to really probably not end up in a very good move.
Zach, this is only a half a mile in length track here at Bristol. High banking, one of the fastest short tracks in the world. But what we're watching right now, I mean, this is certainly a chess match that's going on between Dylan Glass and Derek Offerman. But your reaction time, I would imagine, also has to be just on track at all moments. I mean, how, as a driver, when you're here at Bristol, side-by-side racing like we're seeing these drivers, how easy is it to just make one mental mistake?
Very, very easy, first of all. I mean, this is a rhythm racetrack, and you get side-by-side with someone that usually breaks your rhythm. You got to change something up from what you've been doing before. And like you said, Sam, the reaction time. This track here is, in my opinion, it's not the fastest in mile per hour and pure average speed, but the way you travel around this track, this half mile, you don't go around many half-mile racetracks this quick, and it just happens so quickly. Your brain almost can't even process it sometimes, and you don't take all of that in and get a little bit over anxious and make that mistake, you easily end up into an incident. What we're seeing though right now is everybody here making good racing right here around this top 5 spot. It has been a blast to watch here from 4th on back.
They've been keeping it on track with one another, trying to make sure they don't make any mistakes. Right now, boarded, there's the mistake in front of the drivers. They're clogging up. Collection and wrecking going on. First yellow is thrown, and all on Dylan Glass and Derek Offerman making the initial contact. And it's everyone else that was on top of one another. Actually, it's going to be that 69 spun around and bringing out the yellow, but whew, Zach, it was chaotic there for a second as that Martin Perry was the driver that was spun around it that brought out the yellow. Well, there were multiple wrecks that were going on there for a moment.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that when you see that happen where there's multiple crashes here, and I think we'll go back to this Freaky Fast replay and see exactly what happened when Martin Perry into 69 as we see what was happening back farther along. But this, like you said, Sam, was exactly what brought the caution out here. Is this is going to be a little bit of contact. That's between Sacchetti there, our 3rd place driver, getting by the lap car of Perry there, and that is going to be a tough break for Perry, hard into the wall. And that is not a good sight to see there, as you're going to see also we had incidents behind. So that's it's a crazy time right now at Bristol.
And still watching the replay, so you're going to see that drivers that we were just reacting to with the incident. Also, we see Perry back up, give a little bit more space for all of them to drive on by. But man, isn't that just exactly what this Cole Sacchetti season's been like? Just misfortunes of timing. Martin Perry, who's been out here learning each week, ever periodically has an incident that can put 69 in a little bit of trouble with the lead lap drivers, but like you kind of noted on Zach, it's almost impossible, even a lap car, to make sure you're out of the way. I mean, every spot on track is dangerous for the lead lap drivers and for lap traffic.
Yeah, I mean, you see, we had two different incidents at the same exact point on the racetrack. I mean, that is, it's lightning striking twice on the racetrack right there for you. And it's just chain reaction events. That was a little bit of a lead lap on a lap car getting into it there, coming off the corner. But the other incident we seen, that was just like we said, Offerman and Glass just getting into it off the corner. Then that led to a chain reaction between them hitting each other to what really affected Cameron Sarton in the 13. He caught a good bit of that. The 05 or Scott Rickard, the 25, Nate Lynch. I mean, it was multiple drivers there, playoff guys that got caught up in a little bit of a hiccup there for Glass and Offerman.
Two drivers with required damage going to be that of Steve Anderson and Martin Perry, both going to have to be in pit road. A couple of drivers, though, deciding to go with tires on this pit stop. Cameron Sarton and also Max Ward going with tires on their pit stop as more drivers in pit road getting damage to repair, that being Scott Rickard, as well as seeing that of Brian Burchett and also that of Travis Dart, all coming in to get service done as the 05 came in, got service done. I believe also might have decided to go with tires on that pit stop for the 05, which is interesting, again, because these drivers only were given 3 extra sets of tires in pit road, which is going to be putting those drivers into only having 2 more sets to work with.
Yeah, that puts them in a very interesting box, Sam. And as they pace down the back straight, you're going to take this green, man. I'm interested in this, but I tell you what, the advantage of tires is gigantic at Bristol. This place only a half a mile, being a second faster, it'll look very, very different here as you'll see this pace car going.
Pace car goes in. We're ready for racing action as the drivers get the green flag once again for the big brown truck night race here at Bristol. Playoff racing action, and drivers, the front 3, able to get going. It's everyone else fourth on back. A little bit of a stall out, but it's going to be side by side. It's Andrew, that of Kyle McCoy, and Andrew Medlin, who are battling strong, but almost a little bit of contact further back between that of 44 Kyle Bowling and Timmy McNally. Got to be careful for those drivers back in 6th and 8th place.
Yeah, definitely got to be careful. That inside lane did not get going, and that was Sacchetti there on the bottom side, spinning those tires, older set of tires, and that's one thing these drivers should have been looking for is wheel spin there to restart there, and it looked very bad for Sacchetti, but he was able to hang on to it, but McNally took advantage of that there. He gets by Bowling, and now trying to get his way by that 29 also Cole Sacchetti. So McNally, winner earlier in the season, looked good at the mile and a half. So that's where he really performed well, but here Bristol starting off the playoffs well in that 88.
Seeing some drivers that are battling with one another. You see, oh no, Sacchetti comes up right in front of traffic, and it's boiling as well as gratting hard into the wall. And oh, more drivers coming in. Christopher Wade, Nate Lynch as well. And oh man, Zach, I mean, Bristol, usually with short tracks, it's cautions breeding cautions, and we saw it there.
Yeah, you never want to say guys having a good start for it, and then an incident happened to him. So yeah, Tim McNally there, Cole Sacchetti getting into it off the exit of 2, and that was a chain reaction there again. You're Bristol.
McNally, and we're going to see it here. Just Cole Sacchetti just drifts up into the 88, and there's nowhere to go. I mean, at that point, it's such a rhythm, and you're weaving back and forth through the corners. Hard impact for the 44. That nose damage looks really wicked for Kyle Bowling, and see how bad if he wants to come in and get those repairs done. Also, Grattan comes in late. But, man, that is not the way that we wanted Bristol to start out. We're still under 50 laps into this race. Second caution of the night, but a pretty big one there late. Nate Lynch able to weave down, and that is not the way that we wanted our second restart to go.
No, it was not indeed, Sam. And I tell you, that is going to be a tough break for a few guys there who got caught up in that. So we'll see how they can rebound, if anything, from that. And we'll have to see. I mean, it's just showing you, like you said, nowhere to go. There's not much space here at Bristol. You know, Sacchetti was coming up the racetrack, and, you know, McNally was there. The 88 was up high. He held his ground. And, you know, it's just one of those things where there's not a lot of room here. It gets tight, especially on the bottom, exiting off these corners from the older set of tires, trying to get everything they can have out of this racetrack. And if you in clearing someone is so crucial. If you can just, even if you're slower than them, if you can clear and slide up in front of that person, they got to change direction, go to your inside, and then you got personally the preferred groove of up top being able to hold them down and kind of dictate their line. So it's one of those things where as a driver you always want to get clear, and when you hear that spotter say clear, you go try to take it, and then sometimes you make that mistake of just mistiming it, and that car gets back to your outside before you can slide up in front of them, and it's a little bit of an incident, and it gets a few people upset for sure.
It certainly can. First two DNFs of the night going to be that of Martin Perry, Steve Anderson going to be those first two drivers. A lot of drivers decided to come into pit road though. Starting things off with Scott Rickard going to be back at 16th, all the way back to that at 25th. Were drivers that decided to come into pit road. And as we're under our second caution coming up to the quarter of the way through, I want to give big thanks to one of our sponsors, that at ButtKicker. ButtKicker, feel what you've been missing. If you're trying to get yourself into feeling the rumbles of a V8 engine, or even if just experience a great just entertainment or video games, any type of action, get yourself a game or two, hooks up to your racing rig. It's a plug and go system, and it will enhance so much of your racing experience, as a majority of these drivers, I mean, if you haven't heard of ButtKicker, it's one of the more big sponsors that's around that everyone knows about. And remember to use our promo code FreakyFast20 as we are coming to the quarter of the way through tonight's race. Why not crank it up with ButtKicker on this restart? Get a sense. If you got your ButtKicker, let's ramp it up because it's going to be a crazy one. The last great Coliseum here at Bristol. These drivers loud, proud, ready to get going. It's Kyle McCoy, Andrew Medlin, Derek Offerman, Nate Lynch, Timmy McNally, your top five. Some of them are damaged and already wounded, but others ready to go green. Pace car is off, and we are green too with your ButtKicker. Crank it up. That was your ButtKicker. Crank it up here for this race, quarter of the way through, and it's that of Andrew Medlin able to make the pass over Kyle McCoy. And McCoy, got to be careful because he's got some fast drivers behind. Going to be that of Nate Lynch, Derek Offerman, Tim McNally. They're starting to get rolling, but drivers with fresh tires. Cameron starting in the 13th, going to be in 7th place. That 13 machine is rolling. As my name is Sam Dyer, with me is Zach Hall, Robert Memorial Running Productions. You're watching the Stars and Stripes Cup Series here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thursday night racing action. As again, Andrew Medlin leading the way, but Cameron Sartin's got a wall here, Zach, and this is getting a little dangerous.
Yeah, getting a little dangerous indeed. And you're looking back here now, even Aaron Hill involved with this group. You got Scott Rickard up top, the 23 of Grimm, and the new tires are showing their way through, man. And I thought they would. Just this track has so much fall off, and right now Sartin, the driver that's really using the most of it right now, he's broken his way up into the top 5. But this group back here is 3 wide. Is looking at Rickard going through the middle there up front in front of that group. He was able to make the pass through the middle with the new tires, and that just shows the difference here. And look, Grimm trying to do the same thing. The new tires just so much quicker through the corner.
Yeah, the big issues, you've got Paul House as well as that of Dylan Glass. Those are the two drivers on the outside that are on older tires trying to make things work. As Aaron Hale, who's on to old tires, as well as faltering back in the middle of this pack. 2x2, 3 wide passing action. Trey Jackson trying to put it through the middle. Hale into the wall, and everyone has to check up and hold on for now. But it certainly was another moment that could have run out of yellow. And these drivers hold on, but it's Ken Campbell who gets the worst of it for the 15. Falls all the way back to 23rd position. And Zach, it's still Bristol Racing. You know you're going to get in the wall at some point or with another driver. You do not want it this early on and setting yourself back as drivers try to linger on. That 15, already heavy damage on the rear end, and as well some on that right side.
Yeah, got that damage there to the race car. Now going to have to deal with that. Look at that Patrick Hasty, our 2nd place qualifier here directly behind him. Major damage to the nose of that 9 machine. He's got caught up in an incident also. So unfortunate for this group here. And man, the 15 Campbell That could have been, it could have been worse. You know, getting damage here is tough, but it could have been a lot worse for him. Luckily, he's able to survive that. And man, as we say that, Sarton's been able to take the lead already from Medlin.
Blink of an eye, and he's gone. Next driver with fresh tires, you're seeing in front. It's the 05. That's Scott Rickard going to be able to charge his way up to third. Now going to be trying to get by the 12, Andrew Medlin. But this is great for Cameron Sarton. He'll build up that lead. It's 1.5 seconds, the difference between that of the 13 of Cameron Sarton and Scott Rickard. And there's about a 10-lap difference on freshness of tires of when Cameron Sarton went into pit road compared to when Rickard went in. Sarton's on those older tires, about 27 lap older compared to the 18 lap old tires of that of the 05. But Zach, it's still, we saw a little bit of the mayhem there on this most recent restart, but now everyone that was in the top 10, they're now being swarmed by those fresh tires.
Yeah, and this is why they pitted right here. This just shows you this racetrack, fresh tires seems so important just due to how short the lap time is. I mean, you're looking at a 14-second lap time. So when you fall off over a second here at Bristol, I mean, that is a gigantic amount of time compared to another track. You're looking at, you know, falling off a full second over a half a mile, where most tracks we go to are a mile and a half to go. That's up to a second and a half of fall off. So the tires really fall off here, and they go even farther than a second. So this place is very important to have fresh tires, and you can go a lap down here by staying out with old tires. I'm telling you, some of these guys, if this race stays green, you can look at Scott Rickard and some of these guys trying to take it all the way possibly to the end. The tires are going to be hurting, but the fuel cell will probably take them to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be Dylan Glass and Brian Chu. Those are the drivers that I'm most concerned about with potentially going a lap down if we stay green, as we're watching Kyle McCoy just trying his best to hold on. Andrew Medlin as well, going to be one of the drivers with the old tires, trying to defend for himself. And McCoy is in the hornet's nest right now. Woo! Almost gets swamped there by the 25 that goes up. And those are one of those moments where you really don't want to be taking someone else out as the 25. Hoping to continue to find a little bit of speed, but on those older tires, just struggling and going backwards.
Yeah, this is a struggle right now. This is so difficult at Bristol when you have guys on new tires just charging up through the field, and you got the guys on the old tires battling side by side. It's always just a bad mixture, and it's always something that is lurking always around the corners. Oh, S3 and McNally almost getting to it. They're behind that 25 of Nate Lynch, but I tell you one thing right now, guys, this is going to be a very interesting segment of this race, because if we do see a good group of cautions, I mean, we're not even halfway through yet, but if we do see a good group of cautions here, these drivers who are benefiting from these tires right now, they're going to be feeling the deficits later, because they're going to be one set down if we need to use every set of tires here. So right now it may look great. Oh, it's wow, Grant here coming on the new tires. You can just see the speed difference.
Yeah, Jason Gradney, these little freshest tires, as well as that of the 44 Kyle Bowling, going to be the drivers with fresh tires in this group. So they're trying to utilize that freshness to go down low and get a run. But you can just tell the fact that they cannot get back into the throttle as soon as they want and just let that car drift up, they're losing the straightaway speed. So it's kind of just equaling out. Those older tires doing a great job defending. But we also have to give note, the 46 as well as the 88, the 44, excuse me, both got nose damage under that first and second caution of the day. So both a little bit underpowered or just aerodynamically having issues. Those fresh tires helping them, and finally able to get by the 7 is going to be Grattan, as the 44 Bowling, he's still got a little bit of work to go.
Yeah, he does. There he is. He goes on the inside there. They both finally get it done as they get by the 7 of McCoy, who's continuing to fall back, now back to that 11th position. He's got Nate Lestrek behind him, and those two still on the old tires along with McNally there, S3, Offerman. But the driver who's done the best to fight them all off, it's Andrew Medlin. I mean, he is about 4 seconds ahead of anybody else that's on the same tire strat as him. So the driver Andrew Medlin right now, he's looking the best on the old set of tires here, but the new tires are just prevailing too much for him, as Sarton and Rickard, they have about 10 to 11 seconds on McCoy. So I'm telling you this right now, if this race stays green for longer than 30 or 40 laps, you're going to have to consider pitting if you haven't took tires yet in this group.
Well, we're going to move up to the lead, talking about that of Scott Rickard and Sarton, because they are putting down 2 playoff drivers a lap down. That's going to be the 4 of Aaron Hale and the 53 of Christopher Wade, both going a lap down. And Zach, just like we were talking about, they could potentially go a lap down just with the speed difference. And there we go. 2 drivers that were already damaged, had issues, just lacking speed in general. Now they're going a lap down. They're going to need a caution. and also potentially going to need everyone to just get off sequence here with the way they're running, as Dylan Glass, after having to come in and get repairs, finally getting back out on track, the 42. As up front, it is all Cameron Sarton, Rickard, Dylan Grimm, Burchett, and Trey Jackson going to be your top 5 currently, as we're down to 20 drivers on the lead lap. But our leaders, they're catching up to that large group of drivers that did not come into pit road. Zach, this is when you're a leader and you're panicking just a little bit.
Oh, no doubt, Sam. And the panic, for the leader is very high, but the drivers like Kyle McCoy, just drivers all up in those playoffs right in front of Offerman, just a giant group of King Campbell. All these drivers are panicking right now. They are seeing the race right here, possibly getting trapped a lap down. And it is coming quickly. Is right now Sarton already looking to the outside up here as the leader to this lap traffic, and it's about to get really crazy here with this 13 machine as he's trying to navigate through here up on the high side, but Campbell squeezing him almost up into the wall as these are showing. They're going to fight here strong, Sam. They have to do this here. They cannot try to go a lap down. They can't lay down for this leader.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Scott Rickard's going to have the easiest play, but we got to move up to the leader, the 13 of Cameron Sarton, because he is in the mix, in the thick of things, and this is dangerous because he's going to have some drivers that are slow on the inside. Zach, I mean, what can really Sarton do in this moment? Because it seems like he's going to get trapped in the middle of this if these drivers don't just calm down for a second.
Oh, right in the midst of it, yes, they are, and it's getting crazy here. Is just it. The difference of these tires, of these cars here is very, very wild. The 13 machine here just showing. He went from the back of the field along with Scott Ricker. They're both involved in cautions there, and they've driven their way up, and now using these new tires on drivers such as Kyle McCoy, who dominated the first 40 laps of this race here. Now on the back bumper, it's the 13.
We're going to do our best to try to keep up with all the action, but weather issues could be hitting Freaky Fast Broadcasting just here. So if there's anything going on, just, if things happen, there are weather issues going on in the world. As right now, it's going to be Cameron Sarton able to get through and doing well for himself. Scott Rickard's going to be now have to carve his way through this group. And Zach, I mean, Cameron Sarton, that's just a little bit of a breather for himself. He's now put down everyone 14th on back, at least one lap down.
Yeah, this is going to continue on until they get all the way up to, I would say, as far as they may get up to is the 24 of Brian Lynch there. He's on the newer set of tires up there in 9th, and man, it's a tough ordeal right now if you're some of these playoff guys who stayed out on the older set of tires, just trying to save sets of tires. They felt like this was the right strategy. But I tell you, I've been on this same set of stuff as a driver. You can quickly go a lap down here at Bristol if you're not on the right set of tires. And it's showing right now, this place, you have to be on a new set here. If you're on an older set of tires, you are just so much slower here through the corners.
I mean, Zach, this was kind of something we talked about even before we went live, was there was a high potential of this race being a wreck fest, of us seeing anywhere from 20 plus yellows being thrown, with it being 200 laps. We're getting up to halfway. We've only seen 2 yellows, which I think that's the thing that's kind of been shocking the majority of this field, is that I think they were expecting a lot more cautions to be thrown as we stayed green for now. But I think for a lot of them is for how long. It's drivers coming into pit road, Offerman as well as that of Kyle McCoy.
Yeah, they had to do it. They have already went one lap down. They got to get some type of difference and some type of speed advantage to hope where possibly these drivers in front of them could come down. But from what I'm seeing, I don't expect Cameron Sarton, Scott Rickard, and these guys to possibly even hit pit road no time soon here unless we get a caution. I mean, it's very likely they could be staying out for a long majority of this race if it stays green.
Now still top 13 on the lead lap. Cameron Sarton as well as that Scott Rickard, both feeling comfortable and confident. They're away from a majority of the traffic that they were dealing with. The next, drivers that are dealing with a heavy thickness of traffic, going to be the battle for 6th place, is Trey Jackson as well as Kyle Bowling. They're on top of one another, and they're also trying to get by Burchett and Grant.
Yeah, you can see it's everybody, every man for himself right now on the racetrack. Everybody's trying to find what little pace they can make here, and everybody's trying to find a strategy to get them back in contention here. It's kind of, fight or flight here for these guys. They got to decide if they want to hit pit road if you're falling back too quickly, or because you take a chance here at Bristol. That's the big thing of pitting. You look at guys like Kyle McCoy who's already hit pit road. They're right on the brink of 3 laps down. They just got ahead of being 2 laps down. And that's tough, man. If a caution comes out now in this sequence, you can almost kiss your race goodbye. I mean, it is not one of the scenarios you want to be in. But man, it's just so tough here. This track camera strategy is so hard to keep up with.
More drivers trickling into pit road. Chris Essery going to be the next of our playoff drivers coming in. And yeah, I mean, for Derek Offerman, he was officially 3 laps down when he got out of pit road. He's still technically 3 laps down as he's trying to catch up and get by Scott Rickard. I mean, excuse me, that of Cameron Sarton. It's so bizarre that how these races can just come around sometimes. Kyle McCoy, Andrew Medlin making the pass to 12. Again, our highest runner of those that did not go into pit road. He's still in the lead lap in 10th place. I mean, this is incredible by the 12 machine, who is still lingering for now in the top 10.
Yeah, from what I've seen, he's the one I've been keeping my eye on the most. Is that we're going to pull up the driver cam here and show how he's getting it done around here in Bristol. He's on this old set of tires, and man, he's kind of almost matching pace with a lot of guys that are on the newer set of tires than him. And if we can get some type of way to bring this race back to station with a caution, this 12 is going to be one to watch out for. These tires over 100 laps old for him, but he is making it look very, very easy, and his lap time's well faster than the drivers all around him that have the same tires.
And as well, a feature that we love to show off here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, the driver cam you see on your bottom right. That is Andrew Medlin that we're watching, and he's usually Mr. Focused and on it at all times, and you can tell he is focused as well. And if anything, it's just crazy to see how much they're always turning your steering wheel straight for maybe 2 seconds before you're right back into the turning action.
Yeah, it happens so quick. This place, you blink your eye and you're in the next corner. I mean, it is a very interesting track, and you got to turn the wheel a lot. A lot of racetracks, we don't turn the wheel that much. You try to actually turn it as least as possible, to try to not scrub the speed out of the tires. But here in Bristol, we really crank on that wheel, and we really get that thing turning left there when we enter these corners, just due to the banking and just the sharpness of how sharp the corners are here. It's a very interesting place. It's like a mini-sized little Dover. It's very, very, very interesting. But man, everybody out here trying to still find what they can here. But it's starting to slow down for our leaders, and there more and more traffic is starting there. He's got Mike Kovacic. He's got Brian Chu up ahead of him, but he's got about a 1.6 second lead back to Scott Rickard. And with so many different strategies and different sets of tires out here, different sets of speeds, I'm looking at any moment to see some type of wreck.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these drivers with the different speeds that we're seeing and different tire wears, we're expecting a caution to bloom up at some point. And some drivers are just calling it a night before the next yellow comes out. Paul House going to be the next driver that is parked it. Going to be our 3rd DNF officially of the night, joining that of Martin Perry and Steve Anderson. And more drivers into pit road. Want to give note of that being the 33, I believe, that of going to be Brian Burchett, who finds himself being 2 laps down currently. But that's the big thing here, Zach, is we're now down to just 10 drivers left on the lead lap. But for how long, as the majority of them are just that of 4 seconds away from going another lap down.
Yeah, it's time for these drivers in the top 10 to definitely get it going. If you're Mike Lynch, he's not got much breathing room, but it's still decently looking good for him. Right now, he's running about a 16:44 to our leaders, 16:16. So only 3/10 slower, but about 2 to 3 seconds up the road. And right now, even starting, he's being pretty cautious through traffic with how different the paces of speeds are. It's definitely a mixed bag when it comes to speeds. But I can see if this thing, like I said, stays green, you can see Sarton lapping all the way up to at least 60 if we stay green for another at least 20, 30 laps.
Right now we're watching battling for drivers that are a lap down, as well as drivers that are on the lead lap side by side. It's the 44 and the 46. That's for 4th place position between that of Jason Gratton and Kyle Bowling, as it's going to be Gratton on the inside and the 46, the 44 Bowling, and they have drivers behind that have already come into pit road, fresh tires, trying to figure out where to place themselves. And then you've also got the 88, who's going to be a driver that's already a lap down, who was not pitted. So like we were talking about, the 3 different strategies, well, we're seeing it right now. Very difficult in the 33, thinking about forcing it 3 wide, but there's just no space to really make that type of a move.
Yeah, and oh no, McNally up into the wall. Bowling's got to go down low. Burchett tries to go through the middle with the 42 and Gratton there, along with Essery and Offerman. So many playoff drivers in this picture here, but they're going to get by as McNally still on the older set tires, just trying to hang on for what he's got. But I tell you what, he's going to be 2 laps down quickly. He's only got about a straightaway between him and the leader to go 2 laps down.
Yeah, and Kyle McCoy as well. He's about to be under pressure to go a lap down for the second time. He's the last driver that is 1 lap down, back in 15th. First driver that's a lap down is going to be George Kovacic in 11th place. But for how long before the 2 of Mike Lynch will be going a lap down? It's just, you look through our ticker, it's so bizarre sometimes, but when these short tracks go green for the majority of the race, you get these types of, scenarios where the question is more of who will be left on the lead lap instead of where the drivers are going to be finishing out this race.
Yeah, it definitely is one of those interesting scenarios there. So watching Kyle McCoy, he's got himself back to 1 lap down as well. He's running up on Timmy McNally there, very, very slow, and that's tough, the ordeal there for him. He's turning some really quick times right now because he's pitted, but he's still over a lap and a half down. So he's got to get a lot more up the road if he wants to get that lap fully back. But hey, progress nonetheless. If he would have been waiting out there, he could have been like Timmy McNally, a driver like that, almost looking to go 2 laps down. So it is a tough time right now if you're one of those drivers who stayed out on old tires and still hasn't made that play to come down pit road. Other than your name's Andrew Medlin, who he's still got about a second on the leader there in 9th place, along with Mike Lynch, who's sees cameras starting now really much closing in for that 10th end spot to put him lap down.
And, we're going to be talking about our playoff drivers, as you see here, the 31 of Trey Jackson. But I want to also talk about the driver behind Trey Jackson. In 7th place, the 59 of Max Ward, a driver that started in last place. And right now, for that of the Sharp Apparel machine, Max Ward is doing fabulous right now, as it's great to see a driver that qualified all the way back in last, didn't put down a time, and right now running in the lead lap was one of the drivers that pitted on the first yellow of the race. Put himself in a great spot potentially to get a top 10 finish here tonight.
Yeah, he really has, and a lot of these guys benefiting from that strategy of taking tires. And man, great job by Max Ward there in 7th. He's got a good group here along with Trey Jackson right ahead, so plenty of positions still to fight for. But man, oh man, having one of his best runs of the season for sure, right in the playoffs when everybody picks your game up. I mean, if you're a driver outside the playoffs, you got to value a good run while you're in the playoffs, because this is when drivers pick it up to an extra notch. Some guys go out there and practice while they didn't practice the rest of the season. So congrats on Max Ward for really improving here throughout the season and having a great run here. Bristol is looking at Mike Lynch getting the pass down on Brian Lynch there for that position of 7th.
And those, just 1 lap difference between those 2 drivers, the battle for 7th place. Max Ward, though, also want to give note that, like we said, this is his best run of the season. His other best run, the first race of the season at Daytona, came away with a 12th place finish. This could be his first top 10 finish of the season. And as well, could be going for his first we could say top 5 with the way the 59 is running, as he's trying to catch up to that of of Trey Jackson. As you're watching the battling that's going on, the 24 losing some ground and back in 8th place, but a couple of drivers coming into pit road. Dylan Grimm going to be coming in for the 23. A little bit surprising to see Grimm coming in as well for the 24 going into pit road. This is a little bit shocker. Zach, might be a sign these drivers can't make it all the way to the end.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys are not really worried about fuel. I think the tires is the big thing a lot of guys worry about this racetrack. You can really destroy that right front when it comes to here. And from what I've seen, a lot of guys sideways here tonight. It's a lot of pushing tight with that nose. So I'd imagine that right front tire is taking a beating around here. And if you can't manage it, drivers like Andrew Medlin, who took it really, really far, got to give them credit for how long they've been able to take it with this tire. But it's so tough to do that here at a track like this. And we'll see, can one of these drivers up front stretch it out like that and make the tires last? But I think a lot of them will come down as you're seeing even starting here.
Oh, no. Pit road. Front stretch issues, and it's going to be Aaron Hale as well, as I believe that's going to be a couple of other playoff drivers. Timmy McNally involved, bringing out our 3rd caution of the day in the middle of green flag pit stops. The majority of the field 1 lap down, and only 5 drivers going to be, 6 or a couple going to still be on the lead lap, but a major yellow coming out here on our instant replay. Drivers trying to get away from one another, but not able to. And this is going to be just one of those accordion effects of drivers getting collected. Aaron Hale gets bumped after bouncing off the wall, gets to McNally. Patrick Hasty also was in the wall of that, was the initial reaction, but luckily didn't get collected with more damage. But it's Max Ward who gets slammed there late. And that is one of those wrecks that you hate to see late, but we kind of had a sense, Zach, this was coming at some point.
Oh, no doubt. It was looming around the corner at any point there, and now it has happened. And the worst timing for a few guys. Cameron's starting there. He hit pit road while that happened. I believe he's going to go a lap down, but he most likely should get the wave around, I believe. So we'll have to see how this all shakes out once the whole pit sequence goes through, Sam, here. But I tell you what, it's got turned upside down on its head now for a few guys. Kyle McCoy, luckily, I think he's got back on the lead lap through all this.
Yeah, Kyle McCoy, I believe, taking the wave around for himself. Potentially could be getting the lucky duck spot, but I believe that's going to go to George Kovacic, who's going to get that position as drivers into pit road. And I believe actually the 7 was that driver that got the lucky dog spot. So Kyle McCoy going to be able to come into pit road, get service done, and should stay on the lead lap, but is going to have to go all the way to the end of the line. While we wait for these drivers, we're going to take a quick break for ourselves and hope that we're back in time for the restart. But if we're not, we'll see more playoff racing action here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, because Zach, this pit stop, it's going to be putting a lot of drivers in a lot of different places. We're going to need a break. You only need a break. We'll be back in just a few here again on this Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Stars and Stripes Cup Series, here for playoff racing action, race number 1 of the final 12. Who's moving on? We'll find out here in just a few. We are green for the Stars and Stripes Cup Series Season 4 playoff racing action. Cameron Sarton, Kyle McCoy, Trey Jackson going to be your top 3, and it's going to be side-by-side madness for everyone else that's going to be 6th on back, because we've got drivers on fresh tires, those on old, and only 9 drivers on the lead lap. Currently right now, Max Ward going to be swarmed right now. Potentially going to be going 3 wide if he's not careful, as you're watching the Stars and Stripes Cup Series on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Zire. With me is Zach Hall, Robert Moyer running productions. And Zach, pandemonium after this most recent yellow in the middle of that of green flag pit stops. And drivers that usually weren't up front have an opportunity to have one of their best finishes here tonight.
Yeah, there definitely is a few drivers that have gotten positioned up front that haven't had great runs all season, like Brian Burchett there in the 33. He's battling Chris Escher here in the 10 there for that top 4 position. Now, looks like Escher's going to take 4th, and that's going to slot Burchett back to 5th. But yeah, big thing here is Kyle McCoy. He's on the fresher set of tires, and Cameron's starting up to 2nd now. And also Medlin, he got trapped a lot down along with Scott Ricker through all that phase. So the 05 and 12 lost out during all that.
And finally able to see Kyle McCoy and also Cameron Sarton kind of on equal footing, just about that of 3 laps advantage going to the 7, but that's pacing advantage on that tire wear as they're catching up to lap traffic, luckily able to get by. A little bit of a danger zone on the straightaways trying to get by, but Zach, this is the best opportunity for Kyle McCoy. He was able to work his way. That caution was perfect for the 7 to get back on the lead lap. And now he's on equal footing where the 7's been the driver to beat all night long.
Yeah, he really has been, and especially in that first 30 to 40 laps, that was really where the 7 was shining the most. And from what I'm seeing right now, Sarton's been able to hold him pretty much at station, but what will McCoy have at the end of the run? I know right there at that last later portion where he stayed out, he very much struggled compared to a driver such as Andrew Medlin. So his long range pace could be a little bit off here tonight. He could have that short to mid run, but we'll see what Sarton has. You know, we haven't seen him on an even foot other than with Scott Rickard. So we'll see what the 7 and 13 has. This is a new little bit of a battle here as McCoy continue to put the pressure on. But how much is he using the tires this year, Sam? That is the question. Is he using them up too much, trying to follow that closely and put pressure here?
Yeah, and due to the fact that we had such a long green flag run, we had 2 quick yellows that happened in the first 50 laps, and then we had a long green flag run that took us all the way to that of lap 130, where drivers were picking and choosing when they truly needed to come into pit road, and a lot of drivers were trapped a lap down. Currently 9 drivers on the lead lap. Some took the waiver round of not coming into pit road. Others decided just to come to pit road for fresh tires, which has put Andrew Medlin as well as Kyle Bowling and other drivers that were caught up in incidences still a lap down, or even some are 2 laps down, such as Ken Campbell, Christopher Wade, Timmy McNally, all playoff contenders that are 2 or more laps down. But up front, it's still that of Cameron Sarton, Kyle McCoy. They want this win so they can lock themselves into the Elite 8.
Yeah, it is the tale of 2 different stories for about half this group of playoff drivers. Half of them doing very well and surviving through the mayhem, while majority of the other half not having a great day. And I, you know, like you said, I look no farther than Ken Campbell back there in the top, and, you know, right outside in the top 20. I mean, and he is just having a tough time with that 15 after getting caught 2 laps down and having to get in that incident earlier in the race. It's going to be probably a tough points loss for him here tonight, but I have to rebound back at Auto Club. But we've seen how good he was at the Speedways early in the season.
Beautiful pass we just saw there from the 10 of Chris Essery over Trey Jackson. And for both these drivers, you know, for that of Chris Essery, he came in 7th in points, so needing every single point to make sure that he's got a good bubble going into Auto Club next week, which is going to be the cutoff race of our round of 12 to see who will move on to the Elite 8. And for the 31 of Trey Jackson comes in last of our 12 drivers with only 4 points. 30 points out from our leader of that of Ken Campbell coming into tonight, and also coming away with just being that of 8 points away from the bubble spot, and that bubble driver being Aaron Hale. Hey, that's going to be closing in. This is just, you know, with the way that this racetrack and the race as a whole has been developing, next week at Auto Club, Zach, just one position could cost you from being into the next round or out.
Yeah, and it's good. Yeah, it's going to be a very tight points once we leave here and head into Auto Club, and that's also another track where it's going to get wild with this Gen 6 package. These drivers are going to be pack racing, and you can kind of throw that race as a wild card. So it's going to be interesting to see once we get there. But Bristol has definitely done a toll on a few drivers. But you got to say, looking right here at the 4 Aaron Hill, I mean, look how damaged that race car is. He's been involved in a wreck, and he's still surviving in this race. You know, in that 11th position, luckily only 1 lap down. But it's tough to be right here. And look at Kyle Bowl now. He's working his way forward along with Ken Campbell there, but he's 2 laps down. So Campbell will get these passes here. That doesn't help him in that 15. He's going to be 2 laps down right now.
No, it really doesn't. And with these drivers right now, the 33, that of Ryan Burchett, he can't falter and lose this ground. He's still got a decent gap of that of 4.5 seconds to Derek Offerman, but you know, that gap not too massive that's going to be the gap between himself and Trey Jackson, as Derek Offerman is just a couple of driver cars back from making the pass there for 5th place. But having are just the top 8 now going to be the drivers that are on the lead lap, as we're seeing some go into pit road and getting some issues. Patrick Hasty is going to be in pit road after getting service done, but this is incredible to see. Only 8 drivers on the lead lap. If a caution would come out and Scott Rickard was not involved, 05 would get that wave around, would get the lucky dog spot. But At this point of the race, the laps are ticking away. We're coming to that of just 35 laps to go here tonight. And it's Cameron Sarton and Kyle McCoy, your top two. But Sarton's the one who's pulling away.
Yeah, Sarton is really starting to open that gap up. And, you alluded to the 05 of Scott Ricker there. He's got a little bit of issue there going for him. He's got the 12 of Andrew Medlin, who looks like he'll be trying to race him side by side, possibly in that 12 machine back here for that lucky dog spot. So we'll see if the lucky dog heats up because, Bristol, like I said, at any point it could happen. A caution could come out. As now we're watching Essery, who we got word is the fastest car out there on the racetrack turning lap times right now. He's caught up to Kyle McCoy as he's teaming with Sarton. These two trying to take a top two finish here.
Yeah, these are the two drivers that have put down officially the best laps of the whole entire night have been these two drivers. And Chris Essery on the outside just blasting. And again, fastest lap of all the drivers that are on track currently is this 10. And Zach, we kind of noted on it of where we seen Cameron Sarton and Kyle McCoy maybe getting a little bit too aggressive, potentially. And Chris Essery, a driver that we've talked about throughout the whole entire season, about how he's always been the short run speed, where the 10 has been the strongest. He's finally found that long run speed.
He really has here. It's coming into fruition here very quickly. He's running his teammate down tenths of a second a lap here. As you can see that white car up there, up ahead, that is his teammate, and he's got some traffic ahead of that 13 Sarton. So right now, Essery, he's still got a chance for this. And man, what a way to close out the season for him there, getting a victory in the regular season. And now, right here, trying to do it again in the playoffs. This could be the time that the 10 heats up right at the right time.
And when we talk about, patterns throughout the season, we talk about the patterns that happened last season in the playoffs. It was Kyle McCoy. absolutely dominated. 5-race playoff format that they are running again this season. And it was Kyle McCoy that won 4 out of the 5 races. You get a win, you lock yourself into the next round if you're a playoff driver, and that's the goal for most. Cameron Sarton, our Rookie of the Year candidate, really leading that whole entire group. There's no one too close to the way the 13's been running all season long. But Chris Essery, you could say most improved driver from last season to this season. And right now the 10 looking so good as the 13 has finally caught up to lap traffic. This is the best opportunity for Chris Essery to close in the gap just a little bit more each and every lap.
It really is. You can see here, Sarton really in trouble with this traffic here. Zoe down below. They're getting a little bit feisty. Zoe right ahead of front of S3. That's the 25 and the 24 of the Brian Lynch and Nate Lynch getting into it. And they almost get up into S3. A little bit of contact. It's 3 wide for them back behind this right here. And S3 losing out major time here to his teammate.
Went from just absolutely catching up to Cameron Sarton to be put in the wall, trapped, losing ground, and went from being just about 2-3 tenths off from our leader to now 2 seconds back in a blink of an eye, just showing the lap traffic. It could be your friend for you to catch up to people. It also can be your foe where you'll lose ground and opportunities. It's less than 30 laps, coming to less than 20 laps to go, and Cameron Sarton starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. But Zach, the what ifs now have to come into our minds. What if a yellow comes out? Would you think about coming into pit road?
Oh, I think almost no doubt, especially with the amount of cars on the lead lap. I think if you're outside of the lead lap, you got to take the wave if everybody goes down. But there's so many questions right through your mind. But 7 people on lead lap as Mike Lynch is just going to lap down now for 8 there as he's starting to get by him. And he could even get up to Brian Burchett. It's a couple seconds up the road here before the end. But, with the limited amount of cars that they got 1 set of tires left, I think you got to put them on. We've seen how big the difference is.
As we're seeing the 13 trying to catch up and put more drivers down. The potential of getting up to Derek Offerman, who's 5th place, is still high there as it's 20 laps to go here tonight for Cameron Sarton, which this race has been a blast to watch, and it has been a flyer. Less than an hour into this race, the potential of this race being a caution fest fray of a night. This has been incredible to watch. Big kudos to all the drivers out on track. Have been making these 183 laps go in a blink of an eye. As Cameron Sarton catches up to more lap traffic, it's going to be Cole Sacchetti, our pole sitter of the night, catching up to that of Kyle Bowling. And the 29 just drops, gets low, gets out of the way. 44 goes low, and they're just trying to give that extra space as the 13 just blasts on by. But look at the ticker. that gap is still trimming down. It's dwindling. It was 2 seconds. It's now down to 1.3 is the difference between first and second.
Yeah, it's the ever so slightly getting trimmed away by that number 10 machine once again. And I tell you what, we'll see if he can do it. He's a couple hundredths of a second quicker than last time by, but he's going to have a little bit of traffic there ahead. We've seen how it's affected him before. It's going to be a huge effect to still have Bowling and Lynch up ahead. But I tell you what, Sarton has got to be looking behind, because if he makes one mistake or he just has something happen up ahead of him, he's got about 4 cars. If something happens ahead of him, it could very well be in his teammates' hands here to make a move.
From here on out, Chris Essery has to be at least 1/10 faster than Cameron Sarton every lap if he wants to even get to the tail bumper of the 13. He's got to find at least a little bit of help, and the big thing that could help Essery is lap trafficking out of the way for the 10, and as well, lap traffic in front of the 13 of Sarton to clog up and be a wall, which that's exactly what he's catching up to for the 13. He's got Tim McNally, Dylan Glass, as well as Brian Burchett that have been having some issues in front of the 13. You see the side-by-side racing action. Glass gets by. That's exactly what the 13 wants to see, but a little bit of woed up by Tim McNally. That's the type of gaps and mistakes that can help Chris Essery. Laps ticking away. It's going to be that of 12 laps to go, and coming up to 11 when the 13 crosses the line.
We'll see if he can get to him. The last few times by, Sarton has been able to find something to pull the gap on that number 10 machine. And again, that time by there, even though Sarton held up by a little bit by lap traffic, they matched lap times almost. So Sarton still fighting strong with this lap traffic here involved, man. It's coming down here, and Sarton wants another win. He's, like I said, had that one win in his column coming in here to the playoffs. I feel like it could have been a couple more. He's trying to add to it here in the playoffs, though.
When we look at the short tracks, it's been Cameron Sarton. His one win was back at Phoenix. He's trying to get another one here, coming to 9 laps to go as they come across the line. Burchett, Max Ward, this is for position number 6. And so we're expecting this race to keep back our leader, and that's all on if Max Ward wants to get out of the way or not, as he continues to ride high, trying to hold off the 33, and luckily Sarton able to clear that of Burchett. And we'll see if he can make the passes in the walls. Warden almost collecting the 13 for their first second.
Oh, man, I tell you what, Bristol, like I said in the earlier race, you're never safe at any point. You could have seen our leader right there involved in a major incident. Luckily for him, it's 7 laps to go, and it is clear sailing up ahead. It's about a straight away before there's a giant gaggle of cars there side by side. But Sarton right now looking for smooth sailing, as he's still got about a 1.7 second lead.
The track is smooth sailing, though, for the 13. But like you said, there's a big gaggle of cars, the drivers that are a lap down, that are in front of the 13 by over that of about 5 seconds. But that could be the gaggle of cars that could bring it out of yellow if they're not careful with one another. Coming to 5 laps to go, and it's all Cameron Sarton trying to get the win, to be the first driver to be locked into the Elite 8 if possible. But he's first got to hope that this race stays green. It has been for the majority of this race. We've only seen 3 yellows all night long. And Cameron Sarton trying to get himself another victory and just to be in the right spot, not to worry about Auto Club next week. And Zach, Cameron Sarton has been doing so well ever since the strategy called coming to pit road. Around that of lap 30, it has been a great run for this 13.
Oh, man, it started out a bad night. Didn't have the greatest qualifying run back in 12th. He was trying to just ride his way through the field. Didn't look to have that much pace. Got involved in that incident. Took the tires. That changed everything. He drove his way through the field with those new tires. Got the track position he needed. And it's been smooth sailing ever since then. It's looked like it's been meant to be for this number 13 machine here tonight.
It's been incredible. You could say it has been a Cinderella type of a season, but across the line, it's our freaky fast white flag thrown out. Cameron Sarton doesn't need to worry about a yellow because he's got clean track ahead. Yes, there's Trey Jackson, but he's a little bit too far back into turns 3 and 4, and out of turn 4, Cameron Sarton, you are locked into the round of 8, and you're going to still be having hopes for a championship. Our rookie of the year, he has been doing incredible and got to get himself a win. Chris Essery going to be coming away with 2nd place. But the driver that you got to give the major props to, Max Ward, best finish of his season here for season 4, 6th place, his first top 10 of the season.
I tell you what, great run by Max there. A heck of a job to get a top 6 right there, first car lap down. And man, what a drive for Cameron Sarton. I mean, look at the other guys in the playoffs there who needed this: Chris Esther, Kyle McCoy, Derek Hoffman, Trey Jackson. That top 5, all some happy drivers there after they leave here with the checker flag.
Is going to be an incredible night for all these drivers to celebrate for. For some, they survive the carnage. And as the Polish lap from Cameron Sarton gets put here at Bristol, we're going to step aside when we come back. Our top 3, Cameron Sarton, Chris Essery, Kyle McCoy. They'll be talking to Zach Hall here in just a few. Thanks for joining us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's our post-race show right in a few moments.
All right, we are back here, everybody, for our post-race interviews here tonight at Bristol. It's been a heck of a time here tonight for 200 laps. Man, I tell you, it was a race you had to go back and watch if you were not able to tune in with us here for live for majority of it. But let's get a talk with our top 3 drivers who all took part in this fantastic race here tonight. And the first one up is that number 7 machine of Kyle McCoy. Let's see what he had in that 7 car. Hey, Kyle, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man.
Hey there, I got you guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, buddy, a great way to start off your playoffs here tonight, man. Leading some laps up front early in this race, starting for that 3rd position, and then bringing home a top 3 position here after it's all said and done. How's it feel to kick off Bristol here with some momentum?
Yeah, I can't complain with that based on how the strategy was unfolding. I was kind of dead meat there for a little bit. So yeah, I was can't be happier than that. So I wish I had gotten more of a run at those guys, but I just couldn't keep the fronts on for whatever reason tonight. So really happy with it for sure.
Yeah, it definitely seemed to be one of those nights where guys did struggle to keep the front tires underneath them, and we've seen all the different tire strategies play out. I mean, how scary did that all get when you guys got stuck on the old tires and you seen how it was going to be a green trend at that point? I mean, how much? I guess I got to say how much guts did it take to come down the pit road and actually kind of take that chance there to get on the new set of tires to make up some ground back up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw any of the stuff that was happening with the old tires back there, but it wasn't fun. I was trying to hold back a bunch of hungry hounds that I don't know what happened on that run. I mean, I felt like I didn't save a ton, but I felt like I had a little bit of tire left, and when we took off, I just had nothing. And so Nate was on my butt, and a bunch of guys were right behind me, trying to get around, and so that whole thing was really hairy for a while. I was hoping for a caution, but figured it was more likely that I would be the caution. So um yeah, it, it was scary pitting for sure at Bristol. It's always scary pitting under green. But I knew I was going to be on the offensive, and when I got out there, I'd have to go and make the best of the situation, right? Like you make a bad call, you got to go make up for it somehow. So I feel like I did a good job on that green run to at least get myself back close to the lead lap, and then got a perfectly timed caution. Couldn't ask for anything better than that. And so yeah, it was really scary for about 40 laps. It was super scary, but it worked out, and we got really lucky. I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, definitely got to be happy to start with the playoffs with that type of run, Kyle. Well, I'll tell you what, we head off into Auto Club next week, man. How you feel about going in there to close off the round of 12 and try to make it into that top 8?
Yeah, I like that track. It's gonna be fun. I feel like this should put me in a pretty good spot because it seems like, I mean, man, that caution just it was perfect. Caught a bunch of guys a couple laps down or something like that. So that's yeah. I mean, it could have easily been that way for me tonight instead. So I'm really lucky. Go try to take care of it, come home clean, and at least get ourselves through to the round of 8 next week. I don't have quite the buffer I had last year, so it's gonna be a little more dicey. Got to be a little more careful. Can't quite take as many risks, but like tonight, you got to take the risks when they're timed, and that was what we did. So
Well, man, you're our defending champ, so you know very well how these playoffs work out, buddy. We're going to have to see how it all plays out here in the rest of the round of 12 here next week for your Auto Club. But before we let you get out of here tonight and get prepared for next week, anybody want to send a shout to?
yeah, shout out to my teammate Brian with a 7th place run tonight. He keeps sneaking up there every once in a while, so really excited for him. He played the strategy perfect. Played his cards just absolutely just right. So shout out to him. Shout out to Travis helped us out this week at Bristol. Taught me some stuff, taught Brian some stuff, and we brought that here this week. So yeah, shout out to my Cyclone teammates. Shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Sounds like you had a fun night trying to keep it running. So thanks for doing that. And shout out to Nate and Derek for putting the league on. It's some of the most competitive racing we got out there right now. So it's fun stuff. Guys are gonna make me work for it this year, and I'm excited to do that. So
Well, Kyle, great run here tonight, man. 3rd at Bristol. We'll catch you next week at Auto Club, buddy.
thanks, man. See you later.
All right, everybody. That was your 3rd place driver of Kyle McCoy in the 7 machine here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway. What a run it was for him to bring home a top 3 finish. But now we move on to our top 2 finishers. It's Chris Essery, Cameron Sarton, the 2 teammates bringing home the top 2 here. 1, 2. Now let's see from the 10 machine how he feels like starting his playoffs here, especially only being 2 positions up from that cut line. Hey, Chris, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Well, I tell you what, Chris, great run here tonight, man. Started back in the 18th position, but tonight seemed like it was all about staying on top of the strategy. How hard was that to make everything work out? It seemed like the guys who, made the pit stop for tires was the really right call there, and it ended up playing out in their favor, but it was still just an upside-down night when it came to strategy.
Yeah, it was definitely tough. We got a little lucky on strategy. I was slow. I felt slow on the short run, so I knew if we could just stay green, I'd be really in a really good position.
Yeah, we actually seen that coming down to the end. You were actually running down your teammate there, Cameron, and it seemed like the gap was closing down there a couple tenths each and every single lap, and then it seemed like lap traffic kind of got involved there. Maybe tires just went away from you, man. But how was it there come down the end? Do you feel like you had a shot at there?
If I didn't get caught up behind the Lynches, it was going to be an absolute showdown for the win.
That's how we felt up here too, man. I felt like you kind of got stuck there, so definitely a interesting moment there for you. But you make it through there and bring home a 2nd place finish, man. But how does that feel at home to bring home 2nd here tonight to start off your playoffs? First of all, being 2 positions above the cut line, and then also we head off an Auto Club next week. How do you feel about there?
Oh, it feels great getting the second. I didn't expect to finish this high. I expect to be a lot of cautions, and like I said, I was slow on the short runs. But Auto Club, yeah, I feel really good at Auto Club. Um, I'm good there in the trucks and Xfinity, so hopefully I can transfer that over to the Cups.
Well, man, we're going to see how it all works out for you there next week, Chris. But before we let you get out of here from your top 3 finish here tonight, that second place here at Bristol, anybody want to send a shout out to, man?
Yeah, shout out to my team. We have the best team in the league. I love those guys. Shout out to my family watching at home and my son Liam.
Awesome stuff, Chris, man. Well, thank you very much for racing your heart out here tonight, man, and bringing it home in second. We'll catch you next time out here at Auto Club, buddy.
All right, thank you.
All right, everybody. That was your second place driver there, Chris Estry. What a drive it was for him in that 10 machine to bring it home in a top 2 finish. But now we're going to move on to our 13 at Cameron Sarton. What a drive it was for him. Second win of the season, second time at a short track also. So, man, just working out for him here. Let's hear what the 13 has to say after his wild night. Cameron, it's Zach up in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Gotcha. What's going on?
Well, man, it's going great up here. I bet it's just going great down there also, man, because able to just really work your way into that lead there from some great strategy calling. And I got to say, what a bounce back, too, because, I mean, you were involved in the incident there that it did bring out the caution, but it was right as that caution did came out. I mean, take us through that roller coaster of emotions that had to be to start this race off almost, into the inside wall, and then it came back all around for you.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster for sure. I did not get the qualifying lap I wanted. I kind of put myself in a sticky situation right there mid-pack and just trying to work my way up, save tires, let everybody else run in. Got in a wrong situation at the right time. I don't know how. I didn't escape more damage than I did. I kind of got lucky, so I was pitting on purpose just to see, fix a few seconds if I had it because I knew I was fine with the RPMs. But I had like 2 seconds maybe, and I pitted for 4 tires. I was like, well, and I saw Rickard go. I was like, well, I guess we're in this together. So it wasn't really on purpose strategy, but so the one time I accidentally did it, it ended up in a working out perfectly and a little luck finally with the strategy. But it's stressful there. It's even with lap cars, it's it's ridiculous for sure.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a wild coming down to the end. It's tough. I mean, even you got your teammate running you down, like you said, going through lap traffic there. I mean, at some point, you had a giant group of lap traffic there in front of you, and it was tough to get through. Your teammate was running you down. At any point there, what's going through your brain?
Yeah, at the restart, I was just trying to stay ahead of Kyle there because I knew he was fast. I mean, he always is. So if I could stay ahead, I knew he burned up his stuff pretty good there that first run. So I pushed the first about 10, 15 laps and then kind of managed slowly. And Chris was already managing, so he had a little bit fresher. And then I ran some lap traffic, just trying to be a little too safe, and he caught me. I was like, this. There's no way I'm letting this guy win, even though I love him. But then he kind of ran to some lap traffic badly, and after that, it was just kind of an easy breather to the last 10 laps. So I was my heart was beating a little bit, just waiting for that caution with like 5 or something to go. It feels like it's typical of me, but I took the white flag and I was like, oh, so it's great to finish 1-2 for sure. Helps our team points out.
Definitely does, man. I tell you what, it's got to be a great way to start off through the first race of the playoffs. Now knowing you're locked in going into Auto Club, and you kind of use that race as a race to get you ready for that next round, which has Dover and Homestead, man. I mean, how you feel about that now? That's got to ease some of your pressures.
For sure. I think I don't know even know if I've raced Auto Club with these cars, maybe once or twice, but I'm assuming draft dependent. So, I can kind of take a little gamble there with some strategies to see if it works, kind of like I did on accident here. See what happens. But big relief for sure. I feel I wasn't really confident here at Bristol, and I'm kind of the same way at Dover. So probably start practicing that one a little bit beforehand. But great momentum. I like talking to you guys a lot. It's pretty fun. So I think it's like 4 or 5 in a row outside of Talladega. So hope you enjoy my voice at least.
Hey, man, we enjoy your great racing up front, man. That's definitely a show you guys put on each and every week. And, hey, man, we talked about it. You had the 1 win coming in here into the playoffs. We felt like, maybe it could have been a few more, and now you add that second one to it. So that's good to see here to kick off the playoffs for you, man. But before you get ready to head off to Auto Club next week and help your teammates out there, buddy, anybody want to send a shout out to here for tonight's win?
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to the wife. mom, dad watching at home. Mom's birthday Saturday, so happy birthday! A little early present. Grandparents down there in Fredericksburg, and the team. The good boys won again. Shout out Chris, P2. It's a nice confidence boost for everyone. So, and then again, thank you guys for hosting as per usual. Y'all are amazing. Probably the best broadcast out there. So appreciate it. And we'll see y'all next week.
Well, awesome stuff, Karen, man. Congrats on the win. Like I said, thanks for the kind words, buddy. And we'll catch you next week out there at Auto Club.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. Have a good weekend.
All right, everybody. That was your race winner, the 13 of Cameron Sarton. What a drive it was for him to pull off the victory here at Bristol for 200 laps. And what a flash that was. This race went by in a blink of an eye, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we're looking at just an hour and 30 minutes since the race started. That is that's a quick one for sure here. And, we'll definitely take quick, great races because tonight was a great race, and I can't complain one bit at all. As we'll go ahead and pull up our race results here. As you can see, where your favorite drivers finished out tonight, but our top 10 was Cameron Sarton getting that victory, second one of the season, going to lock himself into that round of 8. Great run. He's got his teammate Chris Escher there alongside him in second place. Great run for him for the playoffs. Third is going to go to Kyle McQuarrie, our defending champion. Fourth is going to be last week's winner, Derek Offerman. Great way to start his playoffs off after getting that win to get in. Fifth is going to go to Trey Jackson. Sixth is going to be Max Ward, best finish of the season for him. Seventh to Brian Burchett, possibly best finish for him also. Eighth goes to Mike Flint. Ninth from Andrew Mellon, who I think is going to be a little disappointed after having so much speed tonight. And 10th, rounding out that top 10 is going to be Aaron Hill. Man, you got to give him credit because he had a beat-up car, started back in 28th and kind of brought it home in 10th with some good points. But as you look through the rest of the list, you're going to see some playoff drivers who had some bad nights. The first one that comes up to my mind, Timmy McNally there back in 27th, Christopher Wade back in 20th. I mean, you're looking at Ken Kimmel back in 16th. A lot of guys involved in incidents, just having a bad night with strategy, not playing out their ways. Bristol got the better of a few drivers out there tonight, and no doubt indeed. But, man, we cannot wait to see what goes on next here at the Stars and Stripes Racing League. It's been a pleasure to call all the regular season action, and our first playoff race, it's lived up to the hype that we had last season at the Xfinity Series, and we cannot wait to head off to Auto Club next week to continue the round of 12 here at the Stars and Stripes League. So make sure you tune back in here on Thursday nights here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. So make sure you hit that like, that follow, that subscribe, and bell notification button, and share it out to your friends if you want to show them how good this racing is here at the Stars and Stripes League and how good our broadcast here is at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. So thank you all for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to call all the action here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As we always say, thank you all for tuning in. God bless to you. Stay freaky fast.